Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. This is episode number 269, Helios. Now, with me tonight to discuss this fantastic audio drama, Helios, are the two collaborators that have worked on this project to bring it to us. And I'm going to start with Mr. Steve Warnek, who is the executive producer and writer for Helios, and then also Mr. Robert Wood, who is also a producer and writer for the show. Guys, welcome tonight. Welcome.
It's great to be here, Roy.
Thank you.
Great to have you. Very excited about this, to discuss this and everything that's behind it, because this has been a project in the making for some time, and it's really cool to know that it's reached out and it's been launched as of June and made available, and I'm very much looking forward to delving into all the details behind Helios and the origins and everything. So again, welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So with that said, with the origins, where did it all begin? And can I start with you, Steve?
It actually began in my house in Florida, right here, where I am today. We were basically, Robert, myself, Christopher, and our friend Eric Bernard were all just hanging out, doing whatever. And we were watching a few, sci-fi movies like 2001: A Space Odyssey, Gravity, things like that. And we were really mulling about, can we do something that's original, that's very much, how do I say it, part of the zeitgeist, something that really reflects what's going on today, the concerns, existential concerns of humanity, those kinds of things, and really come up with something that's interesting and has something new to say, that hasn't been said before. Long story short, we came up with an idea called Helios. Robert, we went through a couple of iterations with that, and we eventually decided to pass on a lot of things, but Robert came up with a really brilliant idea of having these two people in the middle of the desert, or rather one person in the middle of the desert and another person at sea, communicating after World War III. And really, we discussed it further. We wanted to make it very much a character piece, get inside everybody's heads. Chris was like, have to have a lot of very dark humor in it, to keep people interested and, not take itself, it's serious, but it's not beyond itself. So, it was, and it really came together, and it's been a 10-year journey, over a 10-year journey, getting this together to where we can actually bring it, to an audience now. And I think, you've listened to it, and we're just hoping that we can really build the audience for it so that we can go to the next step, Robert, what would you like to add to that?
I'm going to go back to the beginning again.
Okay.
Please do.
With the genesis of it, as Steve was talking about, something that was important to the world, something that, because the world then, 10 years ago, a lot like the world today, has got, quite a lot of issues, and, they haven't gotten any better. They've gotten worse. Chris isn't here with us anymore, but, at the beginning, a lot of that stuff was informed very much by Chris, his concern for climate change, the climate crisis, geopolitical stuff like that. Those were all
war.
war. Those were all elements that were really important, and we wanted something that was going to not just be entertaining in a sci-fi drama kind of way, but something that also had in it a seed of hope, for the future, and the fact that there's a lot of terrible stuff going on right now, but there is hope. There's always hope. We have to aim for that. So ultimately, it's a story. It's a really hopeful story, and so that goes back to the beginning again. That kind of what we were trying to create at the very beginning, and like Steve talked about, there were a couple of false starts and different directions we went in, before we found the direction that we ended up going in, which, as Steve said, was a different angle on the story that I came up with, where there's this one woman in the desert alone communicating long distance with a voice, a guy. They never meet, but effectively what it is a long distance love story between two people who never actually meet each other through the course of the story. And they communicate long distance, and they're dealing with their own isolated situations that they're both living in, dealing with all the challenges and everything that exists in this kind of post-apocalyptic, scenario, making it a little bit worse than the world that we are in today, because we haven't had an apocalypse. But tune in tomorrow.
But
so that was the genesis of it, and essentially that was the genesis of it. Yeah.
You know what I love about that, the whole idea, though, going back to that, is that you were all just kind of hanging out and doing your thing, and it just all surfaced from being in the moment, and all the creative juices flying and conversation sparking, and then this story that morphed over a period of what you Steve was just saying, over 10 years. That's pretty cool, actually.
And it went through a lot of iterations,
Sure.
and before we got to what we felt really was the perfect springboard. I mean, it was, when Robert came to me, it's like, Steve, we should really be doing this. And I was like so involved with this big grandiose space opera thing. And it's like, finally, and I was realizing after so many tries, like, it's just not working. And it's like, and Robert's like, what about this? And like, finally, it just gelled in my head. It's like, yeah, why not? I mean, then it was like, okay, fine. Brain, what is brain? Finally decided to start doing something with that. And it's like, yeah, this is brilliant. We have to be doing this. Oh my God.
It is a grandiose story. It's a really big story. But in order to get into that story, what this is it's like your little gateway drug.
Right.
To the much bigger story. This is the little tiny entrance where you're focusing on two characters.
Right.
And through them, you start to pick up clues that are leading you towards the bigger story, which I know we're going to talk about at some point later. We don't want to give too much away about that, though. But,
sure.
We'll talk a bit about where it's going to be going. But at this point, it's this intimate little story, and I love that about it. And that was the core that we latched onto and got really excited about. And Chris did as well. It was the three of us. It was Steve and me and Chris. Eric Bernard was there at the very beginning. But by the time we latched onto this new direction for it, it was really Steve and Chris Penfold and me. And we developed it and worked it together with the imagery, with the story, and it was basically Steve and I developing it, writing it, and Chris was working as our story editor along the way.
And co-creator on it, of course.
Co-creator, absolutely.
Yeah, just to remind everybody, when you're saying Chris, you're referring to Christopher Penfold.
Christopher Penfold, who was a genius, brilliant, wonderful human being who people will know, your listeners will know, your viewers will know from Space 1999. He was a story editor for season 1 and wrote a number of fantastic episodes. And as story editor, kind of, rewrote some he didn't even get credit for. Like Black Sun and Breakaway, who have other names on the scripts. But Chris did a lot of work on those. And he wrote Guardian of Piri and Last Sunset and Dragon's Domain and a lot of fantastic episodes. And then he also he did the Tripods, season 2 of the Tripods.
Plus 13 seasons of my Midsummer Murders, so. And
a lot of other stuff, All Creatures Great and Small, various other shows. And he was an absolutely wonderful collaborator and friend and mentor, and
we missed him terribly.
Yeah. We should just sideline here for a second and mention that one thing that Chris worked on in his last number of years was a series of articles that he wrote. I have that too. And he wrote them for his local magazine in London, and they were on all kinds of different topics that interested him. Some of it about climate change or politics or, um, you know, his love of books, um, all kinds of different subjects. And he always wanted to publish them. And unfortunately, he got sick. And when Steve and I went and saw him in hospital just before he passed away, um, we brought that up to him and said, you wanted to do this. How would you feel about us doing this for you? And he was, very, very pleased that we would do that. And so Chris passed away a couple of days after that. And with the blessing of his wife, Judy, we went ahead and we published a book of Chris's essays, which people can get on Amazon pretty much worldwide right now. It's called Tipping Points.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's a lovely little piece of Christopher Penfold that anybody can purchase if they'd like to read it.
No, thank you for sharing that. And great to get that information out to our viewers. Also, speaking of our viewers, I just want to welcome the folks that are commenting in the comments section. And I want to say hi to Jeffrey and Jeffrey Stephen Hastings. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Good to see you, Jeffrey.
I see May is joining us from Canada. Welcome, May.
Hi, May. Hello.
And then also Jeff Rubel is out there joining us from Utah.
Hey, Jeff.
How you doing?
And Shari is joining from downstairs.
Yeah.
And she's saying, hi, guys. I remember reading the part of Jess in 2019 at the Space 1999 convention. I really enjoyed it, and I got to act side by side with Nick Tate. He played my dad.
Yeah, we did a staged reading of the of that draft of the script that existed at the time at that convention to get an audience, response to it and to hear it read out loud by a group of actors. And we had Nick in it. I think Steve and I were in it as well. And Sherry played Jess, which was fantastic. Jess being the lead female character, who's the woman who's in the desert, struggling to survive. Yeah.
And Jeffrey is also commenting saying, I sure wish Christopher Penfold was in this discussion tonight, but I'm sure his ideas are well represented here and in the story. Rest in peace, Mr. Penfold.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sherry also said, I enjoyed talking to Chris Penfold about the project. I want to welcome Don Bethman. Don is out there joining us from Delaware. Welcome, Don.
Hey, Don.
And Jeffrey saying thank you all. Jack Dealey is also joining us. Welcome, Jack.
Hey, Jack.
And Charlene is out there. Hey, Charlene.
Hi, Charlene.
Hello.
And she said, cheers. Hey, guys, just finished listening on Spotify.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for your comments.
So we really went through a lot of iterations over 10 plus years, and with that idea that Robert had, we then said, this is the perfect entry point for what we want to do. Very much like, to use another sci-fi, metaphor, or analogy, I should say, it's like the person on your farm boy of Tatooine kind of thing before it becomes this big space adventure. So very much, what we're trying to do was, find that entry point, and it just worked so well. And, going through the script and just making it better and other things that came along that we decided to put in. Because we had tried very hard to do this grand space epic, and it was just not going to work. So we really pared it down to this, just keep it earthbound kind of thing. And, we went through several iterations based on different things that were going on in the industry. There was a time where people were talking about like transmedia, and then doing, short form, and then doing web series as well. And we were just changing things around. There was a lot of things we were doing. And finally, it really came to a point because we had been pitching it around in this idea around in LA, and in Chris was pitching it around in London as well. And at some point, about 3-ish years ago, I'm going to say, Chris and I were talking, and he's like, well, that really is like, he was like, we're just, nobody wants to do this unless it's an established property. It's always got to be established IP. And I'm like, can I swear on this call?
Can you do maybe the first two letters and go ...
Well, I was all right. I was just basically F it all. Let's just rewrite it as an audio drama, because audio was really becoming popular.
Right.
And like, let's do that. We have the actors, we have the people that are available, we have the talent. Let's do that, and we'll push it out, and we'll just make our own audience, and we'll just do it that way, and we'll see what happens,
Yeah. When we came to visualizing it as an audio drama, Steve had a historical reference, which was inspirational as well in terms of the style of it.
The story of Star Wars. So if anybody's remembered this back in the day, because this was all we've had, when I was growing up, because I couldn't watch, we didn't have VCRs or anything like that back then. But, having, the record and having Roscoe Lee Brown's voice telling you, narrating you through the story, it was just incredible what he was able to do. And we thought, we have Nick Tate. He's got the same kind of gravitic voice. We could certainly get him to, we could certainly get him to do this. And we have a great group of actors involved.
Well, with Nick Tate, we have literally one of the top voiceover actors or voice actors in the world. Yeah. And so we knew that we were incredibly blessed and lucky, but also in good hands with Nick to do what Roscoe Lee Brown had done with that Star Wars story. Yeah. And that image there, you saw Nick, and you also saw Anthony Montgomery. Anthony Montgomery had been with us, attached to Helios, for a long time. Anthony, everybody knows Anthony probably from Star Trek Enterprise, and he'd been kind of I'm not sure how we initially got connected to Anthony, but he loved Helios, and he was kind of supportive of us along the way through our different, iterations and efforts to pitch it and all of that. And then when it became an audio drama, Anthony continued to be supportive and also brought in a couple of his other Star Trek Enterprise friends, Dominic Keating and Connor Trinneer, to join the cast as well. So then we had 3 Star Trek Enterprise actors, which is fantastic for fan base. Yeah. And on the previous shot, you also saw Cindy Dolenc. Cindy is a Canadian actor in LA, and she starred in La Femme Nikita TV series, and she was discovered, interestingly, by Stanley Kubrick for his last film, Eyes Wide Shut. And so that's how Cindy got her real start in film. And when we were trying to find an actor to play the role of Jess, it was really challenging. We kept throwing names around and hearing different voices. It was never kind of quite right. And then I said to Steve one day, let me just ask Susie Landau. And another friend of ours, Devix Zell in California, in LA. Let me just ask them if they have anybody that they would recommend for this role. And so I sent an email, and they both got back almost instantly, independently, and said, Cindy. Oh, okay. All right. Terrific. So Susie Landau, Martin Landau's daughter, connected us with Cindy, and we sent her the script. She loved the script, and she said yes, she wanted to do it. And so Cindy was the really big jigsaw puzzle piece that had been missing up until that point. And once we had her, then we were rocking.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, yeah. I mean, we had sent her reading to Chris, and he came back and said, "Oh yeah, I love her voice. I'm just in love with her voice. So she's perfect." And I had then actually I was in LA at the time. She and I had breakfast together. She was lovely. I mean, she really enjoyed the script. It was like she's like, "This is a beautiful script. I have to do this." So it's like, okay, fine. It's like it didn't take much convincing. So it was all good.
She's really good, and she really draws you in too. And between the chemistry between her and Anthony Montgomery as
Yeah.
well, they work well off of each other, and and that's magic, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were very lucky there. I mean, they just gelled so well. I mean, we kind of knew when that we would have Anthony, Dominic, and Connor, and they would it was kind of also a little bit written that they would kind of pick up a little bit from what they did together on Star Trek Enterprise.
and the fact that they are friends in real life.
Right, exactly. So
They've got the camaraderie, as I like to say.
Yeah. I mean, so it was like well, we knew that they were kind of like we knew there was a good undertow there, so we were just gonna they just were going to pick up from where they left off, and it really did happen, when we were recording.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
When it came to recording, that was an interesting process too, because we'd assembled everybody. We had this all planned. We did the recording. Steve and I were there, obviously, watching it happening, and it was amazing. I have to. I mean, I'll speak for myself. That I had obviously very high expectations for everybody. Knowing them, their abilities, I had very high expectations, but expectations were blown out of the water. They were so good. I mean, Cindy was just incredible. Blew us away with her performance. Nick Tate was another one that, I mean, I had really high expectations, of course, but Nick was just incredible with what he did. So, I mean, I think that these are, and Anthony and everybody, they were all wonderful, of course. But it was amazing to be there and to be really, really blown away by the work that these actors did.
How long was the recording sessions as far as the time that was to take?
It was 8 hours, more or less 8 hours a day plus over 3 days. We did it over a weekend. Plus there was some pickup work that we had to do afterward. Because we had Cindy plus Tori Griffith, who was playing the daughter.
Yep.
So we had to do that at a separate, in a separate facility. But it was
Tori wasn't available. Tori wasn't available when we did the bulk of the shoot.
Right. But when we did do it, I mean, our director Glenn Campbell took care of all that, and they just knocked it out of the park together.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I'll mention Tom McLaren there as well. Tom plays Jess's husband in this.
Yep.
And Tom is another person. Tom and his wife, Mary McLaren, are also people who've been with us, associated with Helios for a very long time, years, and incredibly supportive, wonderful friends of ours and friends of Helios. So, and it was great to have Tom in the cast as well.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, the way everything gelled together, as you said before.
Yeah. And then Steve just mentioned our director, Glenn Campbell. So we need to talk about Glenn.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because sadly, we not only have lost Christopher Penfold since we recorded Helios, but we also lost Glenn Campbell, who passed away unexpectedly. And he was our director, and he actually came to Helios via Tammy Klein.
A very good friend of producer Tammy Klein, yes.
Yes. Who's also been with Helios forever. And Tammy and Glenn were a couple, and so Glenn came into Helios basically through Tammy. And so it was great having Glenn as our director,
Yeah.
working with the actors. He knew exactly what he wanted out of everybody. He was very, very specific about that.
Yeah.
He knew the script inside and out, and it was a
And he
great.
believed in it, and he knew what we wanted to get out of it. So,
Mm,
and he has dealt with, being in visual effects and being in production all these years. I
yeah,
mean, he's a Hollywood survivor since the 70s, so.
yeah,
I was going to say
um,
his background was incredible. I mean,
oh,
for
yeah.
everything that he's been involved with. I mean, you talk about a professional.
Yeah. I mean, he was amazing. And he and Robert and I and Tam, we've, and Christopher, we've always, they believed in it very much,
Hmm.
as much as we have. And, you know, Glenn went into this thing, and, he's like, are you sure? We had this conversation one evening before we were going to shoot. He's like, are you sure you want me? And I'm like, Glenn, you and I both think alike. You know what I want. You know what, because I'm paying for the party, and it's like, he's
Yeah.
like, are you sure you want that? You want me to do this? I know how important this is to you. You're putting a lot of money on the line for this. It's like, yeah, but that's why I want you. I can trust you to get me what I want. You've
yeah,
worked with people. You've worked with so actors of various kinds. You know what to get. So you have what I'm looking for. What I need. You know what I need. I don't even have to ask you. So, and he was very happy about that. It's like, okay, I'm very happy that you trust me. And when the day came, it was really great. He just went to town and did what he had to do, and said, okay, we're going to do this. You know, this is kind of the way the scene is set up, and he just went into it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
it,
So that was basically the recording process, and then we went through an extended post production period, as you do, where we were doing the editing and the sound effects and music scoring.
yep,
All of that was coming together. We were receiving the segments of it, the chapters of it, as they were being completed or nearing completion, and we had a great team working with us on all of that as well, of course.
yep, yeah. And, it was, God, I went to LA for like 3 separate edits, but
Yeah, there's our team. We've got Eric Bernard was working in the editing initially. Michael Caputo did music for us. Scott Peacock is our incredible sound guy, who, again, when Scott came into this, he was just like another brother who joined the
yeah,
team. Another family member and friend immediately, just one of us. And Scott is like a BBC trained sound genius, who is responsible for pretty much everything that you hear atmospherically. When you listen to and the editing really when you listen to Helios.
I just want to interject about that. That really creates the reality of the scenario, of the situation. That helps
Mm.
you to believe what is actually transpiring is in fact transpiring, and it's seamless. He did an amazing job with the
Because
sound.
what people are listening to when they hear Helios is not an audio book in the sense of having one actor reading
Yes.
a story to you. This is a full cast production
Mhm.
with the immersive sound effects that go along with that. So you're hearing the wind and the desert noises and all these effects and music and different sound tones when you hear Jess in the desert than when you hear uh, Tony in his environment. So that was a really really key part of the production, and the fact that that worked so fantastically is down to and thanks to Scott.
yes.
Yeah. And the other point I want to interject real quick too is Nick Tate. Nick is not only playing Jess's father, but he's also narrating, and he is has the action. He's directing the action in the sense of he's keeping the viewer informed, and he does such a wonderful job of it. And I'll say you don't know it if you didn't know Nick Tate's voice, you wouldn't know it's Nick. You
Yeah.
know, it's just it's he does so well with. And again, to your comments previously, you know, he is one of the top voiceover artists in the world.
Mhm.
So he just covers that so well.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. He'd be happy to hear that. I mean, I can say honestly, I think this is as close with the quality of what we're able to bring together. This is as close to an audio movie as
Mhm.
you will ever get. I mean, I
Yeah.
was like, it's like this is really an audio movie, and
Yeah.
Scott has
Yeah.
done. I can't say enough great things about Scott. How
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
just went to town, and we were doing. The funny thing is, we're all doing this in between our normal gigs,
Right.
and we're just, he's just, him and I and Robert on the phone, and him and I in the studio, in the recording studio, just going through it. And it's like, okay, we need a beat here. We need a couple more seconds here. Just doing all that.
Well,
And
I'll rewind just a slight bit with the editing, the initial editing process. There was an interesting thing there too. That was with Eric Bernard, and because we had multiple takes, of most of the material, there were multiple takes, and so initially all of that was uploaded to Eric Bernard, and I went through it all with Eric, and Steve probably went through all of it with Eric as well. But I remember specifically going through all of Nick Tate's stuff with Eric, going through every single take of every scene, picking the best version
Mhm.
of each one, and that was an interesting process to go through as well. Um, but yeah, then on a sentimental note, I want to mention as well that as these close to final cuts of the episodes were being created by Scott, Chris was in hospital, and Chris was in hospital for an extended period of time, and these edits were being completed or close to completed, and then they were being shared with Chris, so he was getting to hear them in hospital as each chapter was being completed, and he was able to hear it and give his you know thumbs up or responses or whatever it was that he was giving. So that was a lovely thing that we were able to do that.
It's nice that was able to be shared with him too.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes, yes. When I was talking to Scott about it, because he had only, and the sad thing I mean, in one sense, is that Scott only really was able to meet Christopher over, Skype or Zoom or whatever, only remotely, but they were able to have some good chats together. And he's like, I just wish I could have, he was saying to us, I wish I could have met the man. I just think we would have had such great conversations. It's like, yeah, I wish he could have met you too,
Yeah.
because, it was just, he loved, Scott fell in love with something that Chris fell in love with, and really believed, and we all believed in it. And when we were getting to that point, and things were not getting any better for Chris in the hospital, I'm like, Scott, here, I just got my tax return. Here, I'm sending you some money. Fly like the wind, get this done, so that he can hear it. I mean, and he got to hear it, and that's important. You know, um,
It makes a
so,
difference.
yeah, it does, and he was happy about that. He was able to. He was happy with that. You know.
He knew it was going to get out into the world.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly, and
and
then
and that he was proud, and that he was proud of it because it was his last project.
Right.
Mhm.
So that was very, very important.
Yeah,
Christopher was a good soul. He really, really was.
yeah, he was.
Jeffrey commented. He said, "It sounds like a star-crossed production in every way possible."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to give us a shout out just to say hi to Bill. Bill joined us a little while ago, so I wanted to say hi.
Hello, Bill.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. And shared some behind the scenes photos that I thought would be kind of cool, just to share with the viewers out there, just to kind of see that were taken during the production, which is always kind of cool to see.
Right there, you can see Cindy and Anthony in
Yep.
studio recording.
There we go. And Anthony and Cindy again.
Yep.
And they were working. They had their places in the studio. From those pictures are sort of from the angle of the booth, the recording booth, and Anthony was on our left and Cindy was on our right, and they were working facing each other, so they were able to play to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better.
There you go.
Yeah, there you're seeing a lot of the whole gang. There's Steve, there's Tammy Klein, there's Anthony Montgomery, Connor Trinneer, there's Scott. I'm hiding behind Scott, and there's Dominic Keating.
There you go.
And then the other photo has Tom McLaren and Cindy and Nick Tate.
There you
Behind
go.
this moment.
Hanging out.
Yeah, we were ready to start drinking at that point. So that was Tammy, Anthony, myself, and Robert. We were ready to break open some wine and just start. At that point.
Have to say again, Anthony Montgomery has been such a true supporter and friend through this entire process for years and years. He's believed in it. I think I've said that already, but I'm seeing him again there. It deserves to be said again that he's just been absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Let's see. Here's another shot. That's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned about Anthony and Connor and Dominic. Those guys are they're pretty tight, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that when we were going through the different drafts, as we went through the years with this, and Anthony came to us and said, Dominic and Connor, they're my brothers. I would really love for them to be a part of this if we could fit them in somehow. And I'm like, Robert, we got to do something with this. So, it's a perfect, it's like there's this, so we created this whole trio of brothers, that they were in the service together and everything, and now they were out at sea doing whatever when this, the bombs dropped on the mainland, and suddenly it's like, what the hell is going to go on? So, this whole thing, and we're telling a lot of it's done in flashback, but, we wanted to pick up on this. And so, because there was just so much there, and there's so much, undertow of emotion between these three guys. And just seeing them in the studio, just picking up from where they left off, it was just effortless between the three of them. It was really great to see, and a little bit of that, if you hear a little bit of it in the end, there's a scene where, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but where Anthony is talking, it's more of a monologue, but it's to his buddies, it's to these two guys, and it's a little bit of a tribute to, hey, what happened before in this other kind of universe kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we wanted to draw upon it, and it would just seem so natural, and it really went so well.
Yeah.
You were referencing about the story of Star Wars earlier, and I remember getting that literally on my birthday, which will be 47 years ago this coming Saturday. It was one of the gifts that I got, and I was so excited. Yeah, it was in '78 to receive that. And back in the day, I mean, because really, we would go to the movies. Mm-hmm. And we would see a film, and if you were lucky, you might see it on HBO or Prism, whatever you had. They used to call it Channel 100 back in the day. Mm-hmm. You really didn't have and Channel 100 was like that one extra channel that you had to watch. It wasn't like you had 100 channels. It was back in the days of 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13 if you were in the New York area. Yep. And then maybe Channel 52, was a UHF station. So anyway, with being able to watch something that was actually in the theaters maybe 6 months or a year ago was fantastic. But when it came to Star Wars, the only way you could really see Star Wars was in the movie theater. So when they actually came out with something that you could actually listen to on your record player like that and have it narrated by the way it was by Roscoe Lee Brown, it was like, wow, this is just like intense, and you're drawn into it. And it really, it's a brilliant analogy of that, because that's what happens when you're listening to this audio drama. It really draws you in, and it's just very captivating. So.
Thank you. So tell us a little more about your impressions from listening to what you've listened to of Helios.
I very much enjoyed it, but it's kind of scary because it's kind of real, because it's like at the very beginning, it's just everyday life taking place, and then the apocalypse happens, and then it's, as it's titled in the chapter, the day after, it's very scary. I mean, and it's like fighting for survival, and what Jess is doing, and she's like clinging to what she can, and to be able to connect with this person that she doesn't know. And it doesn't matter that he's not there. It's just that it's an extension of humanity that is being felt, and it really draws you in. And then she deals with different situations where she doesn't know if she can trust him. And then it's everything going on within her mind. And then, she's having the flashbacks with, her father, again, played by, Nick Tate. It's just, it's very well done, very well written. And I think that your approach of going in for the story, as you have, because you were saying about originally the way this was being conceived, and obviously doing something that was grand. And I'm thinking back, and remind me if I'm correct, I believe there was a preview in, was it 2012, of what was being done, or in that time frame. That that in itself was incredible. But unfortunately, as you were both saying, that the studios are looking for something that's more established with the IP. Yeah. So with that, coming in this approach and really having a very strong story and having it develop the way it does makes you want to have more, and it's leading into the bigger picture. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but I think that as this progresses and this gets out more and more, and it expands and becomes more available to the general public, and the awareness is brought about it, this could be established, and then the interest of this becoming maybe a motion picture would be fantastic. So I think that maybe, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, or maybe even if it's not a motion picture, or maybe a series, televised series, I think it's leading the doorway to going to the next level eventually. So yeah. I think this approach has definitely the potential to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, and the next, so basically what this is Solitudes is the pilot. It has within it multiple chapters, but this is one pilot story. In terms of if you were thinking of it as a TV series, this is the pilot episode. And the next 2 episodes are already written. They've already been written with Chris's input. And so we have them already, which is terrific. Then we have outlines for the rest of the episodes that would be in the first season, and we have a bigger, broader outline for where the series would go after that and where it would end. So we have that all laid out. The thing to do from here will be that hopefully this first one starts to get traction and do well, and then we can start doing the second and third ones and have it build and go from there.
And if Ridley Scott wants to come to us and say, I want to do a series or a few series of movies, have at it. I mean,
We'll take the call. We'll take the call.
We'll take that call. Yes.
Well, I definitely think it's going in the right direction, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, anyone out there who may be watching, if any of you have already listened to Helios, if you have any comments or questions or anything, start to throw them out for us while we keep chatting about other stuff.
Please. It can't just be all us. We need audience input.
Oh, there we go. More behind the scenes photos. There's Tom McLaren and Tom in the middle with Nick and Cindy.
Let's see.
That would have been a scene where Nick is playing Jess's father, as opposed to narrating, which was done separately. Nick did his narration in his home studio.
Mm.
Yeah.
But on set, he did the role of father.
Yes, they complained to me very much about how much dialogue he had to do for the narration.
There's a huge amount of narration that he had.
Huge amount. It's like,
Yes, there
it's like
was.
reading a book. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Jeffrey commented, "It sounds like there's incredible potential for this project to go a lot further."
And we hope it, and we have, yeah, like Robert was saying, we have another 2 quote unquote volumes in the story already in the can that it works really well. I mean, this story in and of itself, that I've heard, that is very much can work as a standalone. So,
Yeah.
but the next 2, the way they're structured as well, the 3 can act as their own, 3-part piece. And before we even go on to the next one. So there is some bookending on every stage of this, so, and it's just, hopefully just makes you all want more. So
Very structured, which is good. Randy is joining us. Welcome, Randy. He's joining us from Wisconsin.
Right.
And here's...
Okay, here we go.
That was a separate recording session with Cindy and Tori, which was done a little bit later.
Yep. And I gotta say, Tori she's great. I mean, she was just so good with Cindy. I'm like, oh my God, you both are, when we're doing these scenes, like, you both arguing like your mother and daughter. This is great. So it was really awesome. I mean, she was actually, Tori came to us through Tammy and Glenn, because she had done some work for Asylum before. And it was good because Tori's of that kind of position where she can play younger and she can also play older, which is good because for this scene, for the scenes that she's in, she's playing younger, but she also has this, she has an older logic to her, and when we were originally writing the scenes with them both, it was, I'll say for my part that Christopher and I got into a bit of a back and forth about it, and he was adamant. He's like, no, don't write it where they're so, they're adversarial, but there's still a respect there. So, and I was, I was not seeing it for what it really should have been. And this was where, Christopher's vision and his, history of his vision, I could say. He says, no, you got to do this a different way. Don't just do this where they're just bitching at each other. And, because it was very pedestrian what I was trying to do with that scene. And he came and eventually realized, this is where Christopher was very much the master. He was like, I realized, no, you're right. There's something here with her where she's got her own logic to herself, and she's older than her years, and we were able to play off of that eventually, because it was coming off kind of like too much like there's a scene in 3 Billboards outside of, I think, Missouri. And, I had watched that, and I was part of that character was kind of going toward Jess's character, but there's the daughter, and I was like, maybe we would take some of that, but this has got to be something else, and he was like, okay. And we finally realized it for what it should be. And eventually, when I was talking to both of them before the day they recorded, and it was like, Tori, this is going to be an interesting part for you to play because you're young, you and your mother are in such a situation here. You have to take charge, and you're being given responsibility that you're not ready for. But in your mind, you see that there's no point to this. There's really nothing. I mean, it's like there's a finality to this, and there's a futility to it, and that has to come through. And at some point, when you stand up and you say, "Look, there is no point to this. I am not able to take care of you. I'm not the person who should." And you'll hear that when you hear it. But there's a finality of our situation that you just don't want to understand. So it's that, childlike, it's not a childlike observation, but it's a very genuine observation that she comes to. It's a very adult thing for her to do. When she thinks she's just being this bitchy character. No, it's not that. She just understands what the finality is of what's going on. So,
that's wonderful that you were able to flesh that out with Chris the way you did, and that you both, came to that agreement.
Yeah.
And he had that vision of the character, and then you came to see where he was going with it, and then it worked even more so.
Chris was very good at not telling you what you needed to know. I mean, there's a scene in one of the next volumes where, how do I say it? There is a position where I'm going to say it this way. There's a scene that's obvious where you could have a computer read something off. Okay? And Chris did not want it. He kept changing this scene. It was like, wait a minute, why are you doing this? The computer could do this. Why are you doing? And I realized he didn't tell me, but he wanted us to figure it out ourselves. Why would you cheat your actor out of a line? Okay? And that was really, and it was like, wow, okay. We picked up on it without having to have him tell us,
Right.
And okay, fine, got it. We'll go with that, So that's just one of the things. And when you look at everything, that's what makes it
I'll just interject. That was the kind of wisdom that Chris would say came about, that he really learned working on Space 9 with Martin Landau and Barbara Payne. And that was foundational. And he still referenced working with them to us when we were working on Helios scripts, because it was he learned a lot from them and from their experience and their perspective. And that goes with what Steve was just saying about why would you cheat the actor out of a line and give it to a computer when it could be the character that could have that moment.
Yeah. And so it was those kind of things that he was able to give you without putting it on a plate and telling you. And it's like and when you realize it, that's like, okay, fine, now I understand. That was his mastery, and he was just so good at what he did.
Well, then the light really goes off when you realize it for yourself too.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's this magic of what he was able to do.
Yeah.
For everybody he's worked with. I mean, it just hearing what he was able to do on, stuff like, like Midsummer Murders. People, he approached that with saying, we need to have fun with murder, and they did. It's like, what else can we do to throw at people to just, slaughter them indiscriminately, and just have it where it's like, okay, where it's going to go, and it's funny when we were pitching in Hollywood, it's like, so where are you from? And he's like, I've slaughtered over 200 people on Midsummer Murder. And just saying with such alacrity, it's just with such confidence. It's great.
Charlene just commented, and she said, having just listened to it, it did draw me in, even though I'm not a big fan of apocalyptic books, movies, etc. Well produced and acted, great sound effects. Personally, I was wanting more background on what had happened because I felt blind coming to it. Kudos on the journey in getting this done. Hopefully there are bigger things ahead for it, because the talent is certainly there.
Thank you, Charlene. Yeah, the thing about the backstory, that was, we were talking earlier about having different iterations of the script, and we started with a much bigger, grander version of it, which led you through everything that actually happened to the world and the disaster and all of that. And so that we had written it existed, but it was always a struggle with that because it wasn't a kind of a wonderful organic story. It was leading you through these kinds of plot. This happened and this happens and this happens. We wanted something that was much more grounded and character based. And so that was part of the shift when we made that shift, was thinking, well, we don't have to tell that part of the story. That has happened. I mean, everyone can imagine the geopolitical things that led up to it, and we're going to get back to it. I mean, that'll come in the future with Helios. You'll find out stuff. You'll find out that things were not necessarily even what they appeared to be. But that wasn't the point of this story. The point of this story was telling a human story about a couple of people who are in isolation, trying to survive in this aftermath of what happened, and so that felt to us like a much more intimate human kind of a story to tell, rather than worrying about all the stuff that came before. So it's that you say you start a story and media res. You start a story like after it's already begun. You don't start at the very beginning. And so when we made that leap and mindset shift, it was like, okay, we're going to start here. All of this has already happened. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
You know, we can just tell the story of these characters and what they're dealing with.
Plus, it can always be referenced in the future, as you were saying.
It totally. Yeah.
And that's one of the other things, and I'm gonna dovetail off of that, Robert. Like, with what Robert is saying, is like, we got so bogged down in trying to tell this. Well, what happened and why and all these. Like, no. You know what? It's like the day after it happened, and it's you. These people have to deal with it. It's like, when Chris Robert and I were talking about it, he brings up the movie On the Beach, the Neville Shute book. It's like, okay, everything's happened. It's done. And how do these people now deal with it? And by the way, On the Beach, referencing John Tate, Nick Tate's father, who plays the admiral, so. And
there's even
quite a few.
There's at least two specific references in Helios to On the Beach. Yeah.
And Chris very much said, when we were talking about the genesis of this, it's like, well, have you ever seen this? Have you ever read or seen this movie, On the Beach? Oh, yes. A friend of mine was telling me about this 6 months ago. Love the movie. Gotta do something. We totally agree. This is great. So.
But go ahead.
As for what has happened, we're going to save a lot of that that's a lot of fodder for what happens later, because there are more characters coming, and it's just we're saving the best for last. So don't worry about that.
Well, like I said,
we want to really concentrate on this very personal story and not get the greater problems of the world involved.
It's an intimate little entry point into a much bigger story, which is going to start opening up. I mean, it starts to open up at the end of the first Solitudes. You start to pick up some clues and pieces about where this is going, and then it really opens up in the second episode.
Charlene commented, she said, agree On the Beach is fantastic, but there was a good background given as to what happened there. Truly character driven.
Yep.
I just want to say hi to Linda. Linda is joining us from Canada. She says, hello, fellas. Sorry I'm late. Hugs to all.
Hello.
Hey, Linda. I'm just going to throw up another photo. I'm just kind of bouncing in and out here with you guys behind the scenes.
There's a rogues gallery if you've ever seen them.
My God, we were tired. We were very tired. That was at the convention in London last September.
Yep.
And this was on the Sunday, so we were exhausted by that point. And we did a Helios panel. There we were, Steve and I and Nick and Scott.
Yeah.
And up above that, there was a picture from a Helios team dinner in LA. What you're looking at, I should say, what you're seeing there, folks. Roy's putting up these images from a PDF document, which is available when you purchase Helios through our publisher, which is audiobrary.com. You get this bonus PDF document, which nobody else gets. If you access Helios through Audible or Apple or Spotify or something, you don't get this PDF. You only get it from audiobrary.com, our publisher. And it has all those behind-the-scenes pictures and other stuff that I know Roy is going to show in due course.
I do want to give a very big props to Audiobrary and Julia Whalen over there, who is our publisher, who was able to bring this together for us and actually get us out there in the world. We can't thank her enough. Her site and what she's trying to do with the how do I say it? The business, basically, the audio drama, the audio and
audio books
business, that kind of thing. She's very much trying to change things around for narrators so that they can get more of a continuing, revenue from the stuff that they do, from the work that they do. Because right now they're very much the industry is like one and done. You get paid once, for your work, and you could die, and your other companies would be getting money from your work, and there's a problem there, and there's an inequity, and she's very much trying to do select things, curated items that she can bring to an audience, and she also has done over 300 audiobooks herself. She's narrated. She's done a few books, including My Oxford Year, which I think has been optioned for a film. So she came to us really out of the blue. We were looking for a publisher. She came along and said, I really like your content. I mean, I really think it's great. Would you consider, this is what we can offer as far as, the split and everything, and I can get you everywhere worldwide. And it's like, it was a no-brainer. It was really a good marriage, and we really hit it off well.
And this is that star-crossed element that I think maybe Jeffrey was commenting on earlier, where we had pitched Helios, the audio drama, to a publishing company, and it wasn't the right match for them, but someone there shared it with Julia at Audiobrary, and then Julia got in touch with us, and then we talked to her. Steve talked to her first, and then we talked to her together, and again, it was just a wonderful, friendly, good connection, which you don't always find in LA or in the industry. But we've been really, really lucky to keep finding these people and keep being kind of brought together. And so Julia was a terrific addition, and her enthusiasm for Helios was wonderful. And I believe that we're the first full cast audio drama that Audiobrary has released.
That's awesome. Bill commented, he said, just to let you know, you've hooked me, and I will be listening to it.
Thank you, Bill. Greatly appreciate it.
And then we look forward to hearing what you think.
Yes, please. And if anybody, by the way, anyone who listens to it, wherever you listen to it, if it's on Audiobrary or on Spotify or on Audible, Google Play, wherever you see it or hear it, please do leave a review.
It makes a difference.
It makes a big difference for us, and our cast and crew would truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
And you're all friends, so, we can say, 5 stars, please.
Absolutely.
Please.
I know. I try to. I don't do that enough for this show to beg for reviews. So if you like the show, please go on and comment about it. And that's something I.
Well, the thing about that is that a lot of people, when they're looking on Audible or Spotify or wherever you're looking for your audio content, a lot of people rely on what
Yep.
other people think about something.
It's true.
So if they see that a lot of people have given it reviews or star ratings and it's got a good star rating, it's like, oh, okay, all right, I'll invest my time in that because other people have already done it for me and they think it's good. Whereas something, if it doesn't have any reviews or it doesn't have any star ratings, other people won't look at it because they're not already being told that it's worth their time, you know. So this is an early days for us, and so every review that we get or every star rating that we get anywhere is really, really valuable and much appreciated. Yeah,
It definitely makes a difference. Jeffrey commented, On the Beach is a wonderful novel, and both movie versions, 1959 and 2000, are also excellent. That was a comment he just shared. Charlene said, agree, audio dramas may be on the comeback, like War of the Worlds in the 1930s. Great example.
Or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bill just said, just got it from Audible.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I'm going to throw the slide up. So these are the different areas that you can order from.
Yes.
Okay. And then also I have the website, which is www.roguemoonproductions.com.
Yep.
Steve and I came up with the name Rogue Moon Productions. You can guess where the inspiration.
Yeah, we'll leave it to you to guess where that came from.
And I remember when we told Chris the name of the company, he was like, Rogue Moon.
Yep.
Love it.
We thought it was just perfect. So
Yeah, exactly. Let me see if I can.
It's a little nod to the show that brought us all together.
Exactly. You know, but yes, so you'll be able to get obviously on Audiobrary itself, and you'll be able to get additional supplementary items from us, like the
PDF
lookbook and some other stuff that we're planning as well. But you can also get it if you get your Audio Jam on Spotify or Audible or Google Play or anywhere else, because we're pretty much everywhere now.
Get it anywhere that you want to get it or that you're comfortable getting it. But we do want to give a plug to audiobrary.com because it's a wonderful little startup company that Julia is doing. And it's nice to support the little guy sometimes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Okay, let me see here. Put this up. I think I had almost like there we go. I had the bottom photo. Now I'm showcasing the top photo.
There you go.
Yeah, the top photo. So over the years when we were in LA doing team meetings, going out for pitch sessions and all these kinds of things, we would get together always, for dinners with our Helios gang, and there you can see there's Steve, there's Anthony Montgomery. As I said, he's been with us forever, incredibly supportive. There's Tammy Klein. There's wonderful Chris Penfold right in the middle. There is Mary McLaren and Tom McLaren, who I said have been supportive. Mary was actually a VP with 20th Century Fox for many years, and so she's been terrifically supportive and helpful to us over the years. And of course Tom, and then I'm kind of over there on the side. So
nice. Let's see, and this is pretty amazing too.
Oh yeah. Yep. Let's get into this.
All of our artwork is done by Eric Chu. Eric Chu is known as the Cylon God to Battlestar Galactica fans because he designed for the reboot Battlestar Galactica. He designed the new Galactica and the new Cylons and a bunch of other stuff too, the Raiders and the Base Stars. And so Eric Chu is a fan of sci-fi. He's an incredibly wonderful guy. He's been with us for a long time as well. And so while we were in the process of visualizing Helios for television or film or whatever, Eric came up with a whole bunch of these pre-production artwork pieces visualizing the story.
Mhm.
And so it was wonderful to be able to include them in this PDF document because it helps give people a little bit of a visual component to go with the audio story.
He did a
Yeah.
fantastic job. I'll try to
He also
scroll.
did our poster. So
Oops. Bring it
There's
down a little.
quite a bit more of the artwork there.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of artwork there. Yeah, so these are just some of the pieces of the storyboards and all that. But
And yes, he did do our poster, which is for anybody who's purchased Helios or looking at it, you're seeing the graphic cover image with Jess in the desert. That is by Eric Chu as well.
Ooh, there we go. Fantastic artwork.
yeah,
Oh, here's a nice shot. So
yeah,
Mhm.
there you go.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's daughter, who is a graphic designer, she did our website for us, and she looked at these storyboards. She's like, "This guy's very good." I'm like, "Yeah, he's very good."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Very
he's
lucky
a
to have him.
giant in the industry.
Yeah.
there we go.
And again, there's the star-crossed element, and coming together with simpatico people who just become, friends and brothers and part of the team. Eric is another one.
Now, Charlene asked a question. So, who will take Chris's place in your future work?
Cool.
We'll have to conjure the ghost of Chris.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we do have our supervising producer who introduced us to Anthony way back when, Andre Bormanis, who you may remember, who you may know his name from The Orville, The End Is Nigh. He's done work for Cosmos. He's got a huge pedigree and one of the nicest people you will ever meet in the industry. He loves this and is like, I want to make this go as far as it can. So, he's going to be kind of taking a bit of the critical side of where Chris used to be, and he will be shepherding us forward, from here on in. So,
And I'm sure Steve and I will have lively discussions.
plenty.
Fueled by wine, asking each other what would Chris have said,
Exactly.
at whatever juncture we're at in terms of writing or developing scripts.
So,
We'll always think about him, and we'll always wonder what would Chris have felt about
what would Chris do? Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very tough to replace, a talent like Chris, because he just was able to get the best out of people, and he was even telling me at some point, it's like, at one point I tried my hand at being a producer, and it was like, I really didn't like it too much because, like, 2 years later, I'm still trying to get people their money, and it's like, I'm much better doing this. I thought I was much happier doing something I was good at, So I mean, and there's a couple of pieces out there on the interwebs, where someone had spoken with Chris about something that they were working on, and got some really good fruit out of his, his advice and tutelage. I mean, and that carried on to some of the last other things he did in the final years of his life. With his son-in-law,
Jonathan Glazer.
With the films Under the Skin and Zone of Interest. Chris had a hand in both of those.
Wow.
And the development of the stories and working with Jonathan during those phases. Under the Skin, I'll just mention that stars Scarlett Johansson. In case people haven't seen Under the Skin, it's a brilliant little sci-fi horror kind of piece. Wonderful, wonderful film. Directed by Jonathan Glazer, and Chris was instrumental in helping him work on that. And then The Zone of Interest was Jonathan's last film, which won an Oscar for best foreign film, I believe it was.
Hmm.
Best picture foreign. And Chris was instrumental in that. I mean, there's another. What was the one with Meryl Streep? Steve.
Florence Foster Jenkins, by writer Nick Martin, who is one of his longtime writers, I think also from Midsummer Murders, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he had worked with Nick on that script as well. So anything that Chris touches really turns into its own kind of gold, which is cool, you know. So this we're really, I mean, and this we're hoping this is no different, you know. And so, and we put in for a couple of, you know, we're hoping we're going to get an audio award out of it. So, you know, but at least we've applied. So, you know, but he was a talent that's hard to replace.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think everything's on the right track with everything that you know that's been established, and this will be part of his legacy. So that's it's pretty special.
It's nice to know that this part of his legacy is still out there in the ether, growing and moving in some kind of direction and just living. You know.
Yeah. Well, and everything we do with it, every future segment that comes out in audio format or any other future format, you know, Chris is one of the co-creators, and you know, his name is there as script editor for the next 2 segments as well, and even on the other ones, because he was instrumental in writing the episode outlines for the further episodes as well. You know, I was looking at them not long ago, and you know, his imprint is on them. You know, you feel that very strongly.
Yeah, and every version of this show will have his name on it as co-creator.
Yeah.
Which is as it should be.
Yeah.
So, you know, and his wife, actually Chris's wife, Judy Longcrane, is really ecstatic that this has finally come out, because you know, all Christopher's friends and everybody, he would just talk to anybody about it. Yeah, everybody he met was like, you know, oh, what are you doing now? I mean, yeah, I've done, you know, Space Marine, but what are you doing now? Oh, it's funny you say that. I'm actually working on this, you know, with these 2 guys, you know, from across the pond, you know. So
yeah. Even the nurse in the hospital, that lovely the lovely black lady whose name I can't remember. Queen. Yes. Even she, when Steve and I arrived at the hospital, the nurse knew who we were because Chris had been telling her all about us, and that we were coming from Canada and from the U.S. and about Helios and everything. So even the hospital staff knew. Yeah.
And
that says a lot.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny because I have a few. I did get a batch of compact discs made for those people who still like having, you know, physical media. So I'm going to send a batch overseas to her, you know, in the next couple of days, so to give out.
Jeffrey just commented and said, "I'll be getting one of those audio media services to hear this."
Awesome.
Wonderful.
And last slide that I have is, what will happen to Jess and Tony now that they're united in the barren desert? And what has happened to Tony's crewmates on their journey to Jupiter? All this and much more will be revealed in future.
Oh, this is a spoiler one. No one's supposed to see this, Roy.
Whoops.
This is the bad one. We're not supposed to show this to anybody.
Oh, shoot.
Well, it's there. It's in the document. The thing is, you should get to that at the end. You know, when you listened to Helios, you get to the end, and then you should see that page. But that's okay. People can see it or not see it. I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but you know, you had to read pretty quick.
Yeah,
that. And you know, I mean, it is a science fiction drama, and so you know.
Yeah. So you know, but so forget about that last page. Go get it. Go buy it now, and then you can go back and watch this again. All right.
That was just you only get that piece just to lure you in, but don't.
You only get that if you get it from Audio Brewery.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
So they will get that then if they get it from Audio Brewery.
Yeah.
So
Audio Brewery, they'll get it. They'll get a link as soon as you purchase it. They will send you a link to download it, and it's yours to have. Please don't share it out, but it's yours to have. So with our compliments. And there'll be other items that we'll have. We're also thinking about putting on maybe a copy of the script, and some other stuff, maybe some pieces of the soundtrack. Depends if we can get it together, that we will have strictly on Audio Brewery for you to download, because that's one of the beauties of it, of this platform, is that it allows us to do this. And because they are our publisher, they're more than happy to work with us, and we just want to do everything we can to support them, because they're the money that goes to them doesn't go into some fat cat's pockets somewhere, so it really does. It's really just a mom and pop kind of operation like us. Ultimately, it's just a bunch of people who love doing what they're doing, and we can't say enough good things about them.
Yeah. So if you want the bonus features,
yes,
get Helios from audiobrary.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got one that signed up, and we have another one that's guaranteed. So that's
awesome.
A start.
Awesome.
But what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go to the shout out portion of the show, and then I'm going to ask everybody to, if you have any last minute comments that you'd like to comment about and ask to Steve and to Robert, please do so. So I'm just going to do the shout outs pretty quickly, and it's just to just put some info out there for the folks, and then we'll come back, and then we'll just kind of wrap things up. So let me just share the screen. And just want to give a shout out to friends at Sci-Fi Distilled, Mike and Mary Beth. They do science fiction shows of the 80s, 90s, and beyond on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Actually, they are concentrating on 70s month, and they are going to be doing the classics 1978 film Star Crash with David Hasselhoff and Carolyn Monroe.
Carolyn Monroe and Marjo Gortner.
Gortner, yep.
Oh my God! And Christopher Plummer is in that.
It's funny. That was the first show that we did where, we did that story back in June of 2020, and that was the first episode that I had my co-host Ross Amico. He joined the show, and that was like just a little over 5 years ago. Yeah, that's truly a classic. And truth be told, if you look at the ship, there is a part of an eagle nose cone that is in that ship.
Really?
So all roads do lead to Space 1999 and Star Crash.
All roads do. Oh, what an amazing film that is.
I also want to give a shout out to my friend Bill Scarrato at Country Gate Theater in Belvedere, New Jersey. And Bill is doing Bill Scarrato's middle school musical, and that's going to be coming up Friday, July 25th, 26th, and 27th. If you are in the Belvedere, New Jersey area, definitely check it out. The website for Country Gate is www.countrygate.org. Bill also has a website of his own as well, and it is www.billscarrato.com. And then also our friend Captain Phil, Phil Merkel from Captain Phil's Planet, is on WUSB 90.1 FM, Stony Brook, New York. And he broadcasts on Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. and Friday nights from 9 to 11:30 p.m. So definitely check Phil out. And that is the Captain's schedule. Also, I want to give a shout out to our friend Lou Place. I'm not sure if Lou's out there tonight, but the latest film by Lou Place is Found in Space, and it is available for streaming on YouTube, so definitely check that out. I actually had the opportunity to do that film with Lou, and it was a lot of fun, and we did that last year. So, and then also shout out to Jeffrey Morris, our friend, for the Eagle Obsession. He's done the Eagle Obsession documentary, and that is actually going to be at we're going to be showing the film at the convention for Space 1999 in LA. And for information on the documentary, you can go to www.eagledocumentary.com. And speaking of Space 1999 and the LA convention,
here we go.
Yep, it is coming, and it is September 12th through the 14th of this year, 2025. It is going to be at the Hotel Burbank. And also, one of the things that we're highlighting is going to be Breakaway Day. It's an international joining of two conventions, our convention that we're doing, and then also the convention that will be taking in place in Italy. And there's going to be an incredible list of guests: Barbara Bain, Nick Tate, Carl Held, Catherine Lee Scott, Yasuko Nagazumi, just to name a few. And myself and Robert are involved in the convention, and along with Warren Friedrich, and then also with Catherine and
Mhm.
Christopher is also involved with that too. So mark your calendars. If you are a Space 1999 fan, you are not going to want to miss it. And again, that is the dates of the 12th through the 14th for the
We will
convention.
be there.
But there will
Helios will be there.
Yeah, Helios will be there. We'll have a panel at that convention. We'll bring in hopefully a couple of special guests to join us. And also, I'm just going to mention that the Hotel Burbank became the convention hotel because that has been Steve and my and Chris Penfold's
Hmm.
home base
Hotel
hotel
of choice. Yes.
in LA.
Yeah.
Literally every time we've gone and done our Helios gatherings, we've stayed at the Hotel Burbank. And so when it came to this convention needing a suggestion for a hotel, I said, well, we know one.
We're talking our eagle there, so yeah.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
Yep.
No, that worked out really well. And just so you know, you can go to the website, which is www.space199950years.com to check out everything in regards to ticket prices, the hotel, and all other things. So, and as Charlene is saying as well, don't miss the con.
Don't miss it. Don't
Exactly.
miss it. It'd be too good.
And I want to give a shout out to Martha from Studio One Thrift. I've been, Martha is the girlfriend of a school friend of mine back from when I was in grade school, my friend John Risco. Martha was doing Studio One Thrift. Studio One Thrift is actually going to be closing. She is offering a 75% off sale that's going to be taking place. So if you are in the Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania area, definitely give Martha a call. Check out everything that the merchandise that she has. Again, 75% off. And the closing date is September 30th. And her number is listed in regards to the address. And it's been an incredible journey that she has had with Studio One Thrift, but unfortunately, it will be closing. So, just
what is her website?
Her website address is, you know what? I don't have it, and I did have it. It's studio1thrift.com, www.studio1thrift.com. So definitely check that out. And I want to give a shout out to my son Ryan, Run by Ryan, Empower Your Run. And Ryan is an online coach and service provider. So if you have an interest in running and you want to find more out about what he does, definitely go to the website. It is free to register. But if you want to go to the next level, there are different tiers for that, for different pricing. Definitely check it out. Ryan is very passionate about what he does. He's run in New York City Marathon. He's also run in the Boston Marathon, and he's going to be running in the London Marathon next April as well, too.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. His website address is www.runbyryan.com. And then also I want to give a shout out to my co-host, Ross Amico. And Ross does 3 radio shows, and they are at the URL kwax.uoregon.edu. And the 3 shows are, the first one being Picture Perfect, which is on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Sweetness and Light, which is on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then also The Lost Chord, which is on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can also check out Ross's Facebook page, which he does write about the shows and kind of gives a preview, and that is at Classic Ross Amico. And in regards to what we are going to be doing next, folks, you're going to have to stand by to find out about that. In regards to Facebook, as I was saying earlier, we broadcast on Facebook. So if you haven't done so already, please follow the show and share at no cost to you. It just really helps in regards to getting the word out, especially if you enjoyed the show. And then in regards to YouTube, which we also broadcast on, please subscribe and share. Again, there is no cost associated with it. And if you have the opportunity, we were talking about reviews, it's really appreciated if you do that, because that definitely helps let other folks know if you are enjoying the show, and then, where to find us. And we've been doing this for about almost 5.5 years. So very excited about it. But yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to come back real quick. I don't see any additional comments, but just to check with Robert and Steve, just about any closing comments that you'd like to share before we sign off.
I would just say that we're really excited that Helios is finally out in the world. It's been a long journey. It's been incredibly rewarding and challenging and all the things you'd imagine. But it's great that it's out there. People are starting to hear it, and we're starting to hear comments coming back from people, which is fantastic. So when you do hear it, let us know what you think. We love to hear your comments. Thank you.
Yes, please. And, we're going to be, we'll have some other stuff out available on Audioberry as well. Also follow us on our Facebook if you want, and you want to get up-to-date stuff going on. Definitely follow us on Facebook at Rogue Moon Productions. Go to our website, roguemoonproductions.com. We're going to eventually have other merchandise and stuff like that. Some stuff we're going to auction off. Some very special stuff from the production, as we try to build a war chest to do at volumes 2 and 3. So that is in the works, and we will, we'll certainly be continuing this journey. But everybody, please do listen to it. We hope you enjoy it. We put my cast. I'm going to say this as executive producer now, okay? Because I'm the one that threw out all the money out the door for this. My cast and crew really do appreciate everything you will do. You can do for us in not only just listening to it, but getting the word out. And because it's people like you that will really make the difference. Sci-fi fans are a very tight-knit group, and they usually, they know what's good. So please, if you know someone who might like this, don't hesitate to let them know. Please, how this kind of thing really blossoms.
Share it on your Facebook.
Yeah,
share it directly with.
Share often. So, but it's just like this is the kind of same thing that keeps Space 1999 or any other favorite show going. Is this kind of this kind of fandom? It's Martin Bauer said it once. Without the fans, you wouldn't have the shows. It's not the producers and everybody and all those people up on top. Really, it's the fans that really keep something going. And this is what I was a fan for a very long time. Star Trek, Space 1999, Man from Atlantis, you name it. Okay, I was brought up on a heavy dose of science fiction diet, and I'm a fat bastard. So, and that's what happens when you eat too much sugar. But, I do say, we're fans. We've made this for fans among anything, from nothing else. And, existential drama notwithstanding, we hope you enjoy hearing it, and that, you'll want to hear more.
Well, it's a labor of love. I mean, it has to be a labor of love that we really believe in, because we've been working on it for so many years, to get it to this point. We believe in it really, really strongly. And now that people are hearing it, it's just really rewarding to hear the positive responses.
My bank account thinks I'm stupid, though, but, just letting you know. They would have something else to say, but but thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight and listening to us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And Jeffrey said good evening to you guys, and thanks for a really great discussion tonight. So we appreciate that, Jeffrey.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
you guys
you.
don't sign off, but we're going to just sign off with our viewers until later, next time. Stay tuned. Live long and prosper, everyone.